It would be difficult, even for the most passionate of Red Bull racing fans, to argue that Lewis Hamilton isn't up there as one of the greatest drivers to grace the sport of Formula 1. 7 world championships level with Michael Schumacher, and no driver has more. Many would still argue that after the way the 2021 season ended, Hamilton really should have 8 world titles to his name, but there's no need for us to go over that once again. He has more race wins than any other driver and has produced some incredible victories on track that will go down in Formula 1 history. So we at GPFans thought we would create a top 10 of Lewis Hamilton's race victories in his career so far. Now obviously there may be races that we've left off our list that others think are more iconic for the British driver than the ones that we've chosen. Well, let us know in the comments section down below if we've left out your favourite Hamilton moment on track. But here at GPFans is our top 10 list of all-time Lewis Hamilton race victories. It was the race that almost never was, as the rain descended on the Mount Fiji circuit and almost cancelled the whole event. It ran for 19 laps behind the safety car, with Hamilton starting on pole, before falling to 6th during the pit stops. He was spun when Robert Kubica's BMW Sauber tagged him, but with teammate Fernando Alonso crashing heavily and others falling foul of the treacherous conditions, Lewis cruised home to victory to keep himself in the fight for a debut season world title. When strategy went wrong for Hamilton, a calm head was needed to steer his way to victory at the German Grand Prix in 2008. Hamilton began on pole and had a solid lead over Felipe Massa before a crash brought out the safety car midway through the race. McLaren gambled by not bringing Lewis in, but the safety car stayed out for a long time, forcing the Brit to race aggressively to build up enough room for a pit stop in the latter part of the race. He came in with 9 laps to go, resumed the race in 5th, and fought tooth and nail to come back and win in spectacular fashion. Hamilton gave the United States Grand Prix a debut race to remember in Austin after qualifying on pole but dropping back to 3rd after a poor start and ending up behind both Red Bulls. Mark Webber was quickly dispatched with, and the chase was on to catch Sebastian Vettel. With backmarker Nean Karthikeyan holding up the German driver, Hamilton opened his DRS and blasted past Sebastian to take the victory and be given the iconic Pirelli emblazoned cowboy hat on the top step of the podium. Starting 14th on the grid after hydraulic problems in qualifying, Lewis was going to need something special to win the German Grand Prix in 2018. But the Brit was quick to move through the field and was up to 4th by the time that the rain began to fall. The slippy track caught out race leader Vettel and the safety car was brought out. While others came into pit, Hamilton stayed out after aborting a pit stop and driving across the grass. He ended up in the lead ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and Mercedes team orders kicked in as Lewis took the victory. Another one from the 2018 season, as Lewis denied the Tifosi a Ferrari win at Monza. The Red Rockets were quick on home soil, but Hamilton forced Vettel into a spin at the start to steal 2nd place. He held the lead briefly, but Kimi Raikkonen then stole it back as Hamilton had to go on the hunt. With fresher tyres after the pit stops, Lewis was on the loose, reeling in the Ferrari with the help of Bottas and making his move at the first chicane, going on to win the race by 8 seconds. Monaco is always special, but Hamilton's win there in 2008 was something else. With wet conditions early on and a drying track throughout the race, Hamilton contended with the elements, a collision with the barrier, a puncture and a slow puncture to take the first win of his career in the Principality. Starting 3rd on the grid, Hamilton was past Raikkonen early on and into 2nd before clipping the barriers at Tabak at the early part of the race. A safety car handed him a lifeline to amend the mistake, and on an alternative fuel strategy, he started to stretch his lead on the drying track. A slow puncture on the final lap of the race was another dose of drama that the British driver just didn't need, but Lewis held on for the victory. Late to the grid with his McLaren refusing to fire up, Hamilton eventually made the race and got away well behind teammate Jenson Button. At the start of his final stint, however, Lewis had dropped back to 4th. With 12 laps to go, Hamilton was past Nico Rosberg and Felipe Massa before once again getting on the charge for race leader Sebastian Vettel. His gutsy move on the German with 4 laps to go did the job as he took the race victory by a whole 5 seconds. Hamilton struggled in the difficult conditions on Saturday and started 6th on the grid for Sunday's race. It began wet, and gaining ground on those in front was certainly tough indeed, but as the track began to dry, Lewis lit the blue touch paper, scything through the field in front of him and taking the lead on the 37th lap of the race, reaching the checkered flag then a full 30 seconds ahead of the chasing pack. An incredible drive indeed. Oh, and it also locked up his 7th world title too, as he had as many as the great Michael Schumacher. Hamilton and Rosberg, oh what battles, what battles. The two started 1 and 2 on the grid with the Brit behind his Mercedes teammate for lights out, but by turn 1, Hamilton had the lead. His defensive driving to hold on for the win was quite remarkable, even during a dicey turns 1 to 4 with 6 laps to go, as the gutsy German looked for a way through in desperation, going wheel to wheel and aging Toto Wolff by about 20 years in the process. Hamilton was too strong and eventually was able to hold on for the race victory. After 2 poor results coming into Silverstone that year, Hamilton wanted to win his home Grand Prix, but things didn't look great with the British driver starting from the 2nd row of the grid. That was nullified in the first 5 laps as he took the lead before a good mix of strategy and calculated driving mid-race kept Kimi Räikkönen at bay. Hamilton had room and he revelled in it, lapping all but the top 3 of the drivers that finished and going on to win the race by over a minute. So there you have it, the 10 greatest race victories in the career of Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1. But just because the brain trust at GPFans think that those are the best 10 races and race victories of Hamilton's career, it doesn't necessarily mean that we've selected the correct 10 in your opinion. So if there are any other iconic races you can think of that we should have included in our top 10 list, then don't be afraid in the comments section below to let us know which ones we've left off. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest breaking news in Formula 1, including that next Lewis Hamilton victory, surely it will come at some point in the next few seasons, then get on to gpfans.com and GPFans Global across social media for all of that latest breaking news. And if you like what you see here at the YouTube channel, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button down below to stick with us here at GPFans Global.